WNYC.
The Marketplace Morning Report is coming up next, and stay tuned for the BBC News Hour coming up at 9. Let's check in with London to see what they're working on. Hello, BBC.
Good morning, WNYC. I'm Tim Franks. On today's News Hour, can the Kenyan government beat back the tax protests? And the UN warns on lethal new synthetic drugs. That's BBC News Hour at 9 on WNYC.
It's 76 now. Another hot day in store today with partly sunny skies going up to 91 degrees. A chance of showers starting in the late afternoon, and then tonight showers and thunderstorms are likely. Will drop down to 70 degrees. Tomorrow 86 will be the high. Some lingering showers in the morning, then mostly cloudy, becoming sunny. On Friday, we could have a little bit of relief. A high right around 80 degrees with sunny skies. This is WNYC.
What do you get when you cross a VW with a Rivian electric?
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by C3 Generative AI. Verified, traceable answers, secure, hallucination-free, LLM agnostic, IP liability-free. Learn more at c3.ai.
I'm David Brancaccio in New York. Volkswagen of Germany says it's putting $5 billion into the U.S. electric truck company Rivian. The cash infusion comes at a crucial time for Rivian as it watches other EV startups go under. But VW also needs something out of this. Marketplace's Henry Epp. Tell us more.
So, David, this deal is aimed at addressing shortcomings that each car company faces. Rivian needs cash, and Volkswagen needs better software. VW has plenty of cash. Rivian has much more advanced software. And so the two companies are teaming up to make software that'll be used in both of their lineups. VW stands to gain in that area because its software unit has run into a lot of quality issues in recent years. Computer glitches slowed down the rollout of its signature EV model a few years ago, so it's open to investing billions in Rivian in exchange for access to the young company's technology.
And Rivian, why is it so hard up?
Well, creating a car company from scratch, especially one that makes large electric trucks packed with digitally connected features, is really expensive. So, like a lot of startups, they've been losing money. And that's happening as the EV market goes through some growing pains. It surged in 2022 and 23, but while sales are growing, the growth rate has slowed way down this year. Drivers just haven't made the transition to electric as fast as car makers expected, and a lot of traditional car manufacturers have tapped the brakes on their EV plans. Rivian has seen its sales grow, but it's still losing thousands of dollars on each car it builds. So it's scaled back some ambitions, including pausing plans for a new factory in Georgia. But with a cash infusion from VW, it's hoping to avoid the fate of other EV startups like Fisker, which just filed for bankruptcy last week.
Henry, thank you. Heavy rains across the Midwest this week caused rivers to rise and severely damaged a dam in Minnesota about an hour and a half southwest of Minneapolis. The dam opened in 1910 when William Howard Taft was president and was known to be in need of overhaul. There are thousands of aging dams in this country. The American Society of Civil Engineers gives dams a D grade. At Marketplace's Daniel Ackerman has more.
The federal government owns a few big, flashy dams you may have heard of. But Lori Spraggins, who heads the Association of State Dam Safety Officials, reminds us,
not all dams are Hoover Dam.
Over 90,000 in the U.S. aren't Hoover Dam, and most of them are privately owned by energy companies, farmers, even the Boy Scouts of America own dams.
So a lot of people who don't have the skill set to know how to take care of the dam.
There aren't many who do have that skill set relative to the need, says Del Shannon with the American Society of Civil Engineers.
There is no university program related to dam design or construction.
And anyway, fixing all those dams is expensive. Shoring up just the ones that could pose a risk to human life would cost $34 billion by one estimate. The Bipartisan Infrastructure Act provided a couple billion for dam maintenance.
It's a great first step. I'm really super excited and pleased about it.
But Shannon says in an era of climate change and heavier rainstorms, it's a drop in the dam bucket. I'm Daniel Ackerman for Marketplace.
Markets, S&P futures are down 0.1%. Dow futures are down 0.3%. NASDAQ futures are down just slightly. And in the face of deadly protests in Kenya opposing higher taxes, there's news just now that Kenya's President William Ruto has backed down, sending the tax legislation back to the parliament for revision. This from Kenya-based media this morning. 23 people have died in the protests. The increases would have raised government revenue by $2.7 billion.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Amazon Business. From small business to big enterprise and everything in between, Amazon Business helps simplify the supplies buying process. Amazon Business, your partner for smart business buying. And by Schwab. Schwab offers investors choices like full-service wealth management, self-directed investing options, and trading on Thinkorswim. More at schwab.com.
Now to a company with a huge subculture you may never have heard of. Webtoon Entertainment is set to start trading on the stock exchange tomorrow. Webtoon calls itself the world's largest web comic platform, more than 24 million creators posting work to the site. It's owned by a South Korean company called Naver and has been around for about 2 decades. Marketplace's Stephanie Hughes reports on the market for these online comics.
As long as there's been an internet, cartoonists have been interested in using it to get their comics out to readers.
The problem was figuring out how to get people to pay for them.
Benjamin Wu studies comics. He's a communications and media professor at Carleton University. He says Webtoon's been successful at figuring out a business model. The company sells ads and it lets users pay to get early access to comics. It also has 2 production studios where it can adapt Webtoon hits for other media like television or film.
The media industries where, generally speaking, there's more money than in comic books.
Online comics reach a different audience than paper ones do. It's a younger group used to reading on screens. That includes 30-year-old Miles Green.
It's really convenient to just read it on your phone because of the way everything's formatted, just scrolling down, rather than flipping the page.
Green reads paper comics too, but likes that online ones are less expensive. He also draws his own digital comics under the handle Miles the Robot. One of his favorite webtoons is called My Giant Nerd Boyfriend. He likes that it's relatable, not about superhumans, but regular humans.
Just normal, everyday situations like them just playing video games and like their trip to the store.
In comics, this genre is called slice of life. And Rob Selkowitz, author of the book Comic-Con and the Business of Pop Culture, says it's perfect for a digital comic versus a paper one.
Because you can't put a big action cover on things like that. And yet it's developing because of the community element of Webtoon and the ability to interact with the creators.
Webtoon also collects metrics about how well stories do with its audience, which skews slightly female. And Selkowitz says it makes sense that the company's going public now.
They really had an accelerated growth spurt during COVID when everybody was home and had a lot of time on their hands.
Webtoon does have competitors, other platforms it competes with for both users and creators. And Selkowitz says with a young audience, it can be hard to know what they'll be into in the near future.
Will next generation readers like the stuff that their older sisters liked? You never know.
One advantage the company has are those metrics. They share the data with artists who can use it to make their stories more fan-friendly. I'm Stephanie Hughes for Marketplace.
And in New York, I'm David Brancaccio. It's the Marketplace Morning Report. From APM, American Public Media.
WNYC is supported by Calvary Hospital, where life continues, celebrating 125 years of expert palliative and hospice care throughout greater New York that extends to the whole family. Learn more at calvaryhospital.org.
This is WNYC New York. I'm David First. The BBC News Hour is coming up next. And later this morning on the Brian Lehrer Show, hear why myths about sunscreen are making the rounds on social media and how to best protect your skin from sun damage. Plus, Spectrum News New York One host Errol Lewis has analysis on the primary results. That's all coming up this morning, starting at 10 o'clock on the Brian Lehrer Show. 76 degrees now. It's going to be partly sunny today and very hot with a high of 91 this afternoon. It's 9 o'clock.
This is WNYC FM HD and AM New York.
Welcome to NewsHour. It's live from the BBC World Service. I'm Tim Franks. Doctors in Kenya now say that 23 people were killed in Tuesday's mass protests against tax rises. How does the government defend the policing?
There were some elements that infiltrated an otherwise peaceful protest, because the protest started as early as 8, and we saw from 3 p.m. that's when the real violence began.
Also, Julian Assange, the WikiLeaks founder, returns home to Australia. A former Islamist rebel in Mali is found guilty of war crimes. A warning about nitazines, a class of lethal new synthetic drugs.
Because of the potency of it, there's this inconsistency between batches and doses. It's that kind of lucky dip effect, which is very concerning.
And essential wardrobe advice, what to wear to sing along with Shania Twain at Glastonbury. All that after the news.
BBC News with Sue Montgomery. The WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange has arrived home in Australia after being freed by a US court in a remote Pacific Ocean territory. As he got off the plane in Canberra, he waved to cheering supporters and embraced his wife and his father. Phil Mercer reports from Sydney.
Julian Assange arrived home, clenching his fist in defiance as he strode across the tarmac at Canberra Airport. Mr. Assange's brother said he would seek a pardon from the US president. The Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has played a key part in securing his freedom. He'd urged the United States to end its prosecution of the WikiLeaks founder. The long campaign to free Julian Assange may be over, but the debate about what he did and the secrets he revealed